Police have confirmed that 2 people were killed in a shooting incident on Rectory Road in the Greenlands area on Monday morning. Up to news time, the details were sketchy, but investigation was in progress. This brings the homicide rate to 14 for 2023. SK Newsline will provide more details as it becomes available. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
The loss of Pam in the 2022 general elections, while disappointing, is also an opportunity for the People's Action Movement as a political institution, according to party leader Sean Richards. Richards addressed the 57th National Convention held at PAM headquarters on 4th June 2023 under the theme Reflect, Re-engage, Revitalize, as the party begins rebuilding to face the scheduled 2026 general elections. Richards told the audience that the challenges the party faces today are mere stepping stones for a better future.
But in reflection, we must also find opportunities to re-engage, to rekindle the spirit that drives us, and to reaffirm our commitment to the principles and values that define us as a movement. It is a call to action, to re-energize ourselves and to build upon the foundations that we have laid. As we look back on our achievements, let us acknowledge the challenges which are ahead. The road to progress is not always easy, but PAM is no stranger to adversity. We have weathered many storms, both literal and metaphorical, and emerge stronger than before. It is not our first stint in opposition. When the party started in the 1960s, we started in opposition, but we went into government in 1980 and ushered in the most prosperous period that this country has ever seen. In 1995, we found ourselves in opposition again, but in 2015, we returned to government. The challenges we face today are but stepping stones on our journey towards a brighter future.
The convention was attended by former Prime Minister and national hero, the Right Excellent, the Right Honorable Dr. Sir Kennedy Simmons, representative of the Concerned Citizens Movement of Nevis, members of the Diplomatic Corps, as well as former Deputy Governor General Michael Morton. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
Music's finest artists converge in Bastia from June 22nd to June 24th for the 25th hosting of the St. Kitts Music Festival. Hitting the festival main stage will be Skillibeng, Chronix, Coffee, Byron Messiah, Anthony B, Governor, Romain Virgo, TJ, Valiant.
Them boy don't got no bodies.
Grand Masters, Collision Band, Small X Band, New Vibes Band International, Mr. Bagdal, Akai You Sweet, Greedy, Guess the Band, Ricardo Drew, Patrice Roberts, Skinny Fabulous, Nyla Blackman, Status. Erica Edwards, 313 Family, Gramps Morgan, Litra B, Ear Supply, Dexter Daps, and Burner Boy. It's the 25th edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from June 22nd to June 24th at Warner Park. An experience like no other. Tickets are now available at stkittsmusicfestival.com.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
Ah!
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace. and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
Speaking at the 57th National Convention of the People's Action Movement, PAM, Robert Nesta Morgan delivered a key message, a warning of not disconnecting from the people. Morgan, a Minister of Information in the Office of the Prime Minister in Jamaica, was the featured speaker at the 4th June PAM Convention and extended greetings from the Jamaica Labour Party. Repeatedly, Morgan emphasized the critical need to ensure understanding of the needs of the people and to respond to those needs.
And we sat down and we learned the lessons that you cannot leave the ground and you cannot disconnect yourself from the people who put you in government. Many of our leaders, when they get the vote, they don't remember how they got the vote. And they're surprised why they come into opposition. I spend 3 days a week in my constituency. And if the Prime Minister called me and say, you have a meeting, Robert, I say, no, I have a meeting with my people in my seat. I'm not coming. Because at the end of the day, it's not minister that made me an MP, it's MP that made me a minister. And I think one of the things that we need to learn as political leaders is that it's the people that give us the power, not we that give the people the power. So the objective of every PAM leader is to try as much as possible to be the most popular person, the most caring person, the most attentive person, the most responsive person among the people that you represent. Because representation is about people. The first P in politics is people. So if you're a politician and you're thinking about you, there is no you in politics.
According to Morgan, when people do not vote for a candidate, it is important that the candidate determines where he has gone wrong, as it is never the fault of the voter.
Some of us are very bitter against the voters. Me not talk to them because them no vote for me. The one that me give him much things in the last election and him no vote for me, me done with him. It is never the voter's fault to not support it. It's always your fault. So anyone who decided not going to engage a voter because the voter don't vote for them, come out of politics. Because if it is that the country is growing so much, but poor people don't feel a part of the growth, who you think they're going to vote for? If it is that you're doing highways and byways, and everyday private jets are coming in to send kids, but the hotel workers are still not getting good compensation, who you think they're going to vote for? If the school children from the poor families do not have food when they go to school in the mornings, because the welfare system is not properly aligned, who you think their parents are going to vote for? So the purpose of politics is to build people. If it is that you're building the economy, for who are you building the economy? Is it not for the people? So if you're building the economy and it's not benefiting the mass of people, who is it benefiting?
The 57th PAM National Convention was held at PAM headquarters under the theme Reflect, Re-engage, Revitalize. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
Slavery may have happened hundreds of years ago, but the psychological effects still persist among people of African descent, says Councillor Dr. Nicole Erneme Francis Cotton. In an interview with SK Newsline, Dr. Francis Cotton, in speaking about the culmination of a course of Christian counseling degree offered by the Grace Hill Bible University, stressed the importance of addressing the psychological remnants of slavery.
We all know what trauma is and the impact that trauma has on us. Even you get in an accident and how it impacts your life. Even, somebody who has been molested how that impacts their lives, and not only their own lives, but it impacts the person that they marry or they have a partnership with, because trauma impacts the brain in a very powerful way, and it negatively does so. So imagine hundreds of years of enslavement, hundreds of years of maltreatment, abuse, being put down, made to feel less than. Imagine hundreds of years of generational patterns being formed and information being transferred and mindsets being passed from one generation to the next.
She explained that descendants of enslavers are also impacted.
Persons who were the enslavers have also been negatively impacted by slavery. I'll give you an example. One of the things that we learned is that when the enslaved were being lynched or being abused, or in whatever way that they would often have entire families, children, families who were of the enslavers watch this. And you could see the smirks on their faces, the smiles, because what then happens is you then dehumanize a person. And in your collective unconscious, subconsciously, you also feel that persons who are of enslaved descendants of the enslaved, are inferior to you. And so in the way that you approach us as a people is always in condescension. And you find that happening very often. So as a collective, both the descendants of the enslaved and the descendants of the enslavers also need to heal.
The counseling degree offered by the Grace Hill Bible University, St. Martin campus, explores counseling from an African indigenous perspective, so that aspiring and current counselors or individuals who desire to expand their knowledge and understanding may have a greater level of appreciation of the damaging ripple effects of slavery and colonialism on people of African descent, and how we can reconstruct or remember the African diaspora through our rich human capital and other natural resources. The course ended on Monday with a master class where students presented what they learned at the government building in St. Martin.
So this term, our focus was Christian counseling on an African indigenous perspective, because there are various forms of counseling, but an African indigenous perspective is one that is really holistic and it incorporates the understanding of our ancestry, it incorporates empowerment of community. It's a very holistic perspective, and it's very different from a Eurocentric perspective. So in developing this program of the counseling degree program, I knew that I had to include this, because many times we have persons going for counseling and they are not being fully understood because the counselors are not getting a holistic perspective regarding the client.
To learn more about the degree offered by the Grace Hill Bible University, persons are encouraged to contact Dr. Francis Cotton at 1-721-524-8731 or email dr.nfranciscotton@gmail.com. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
Music's finest artists converge in Bastia from June 22nd to June 24th for the 25th hosting of the St. Kitts Music Festival. Hitting the festival main stage will be Skillibeng, Chronix, Coffee, Byron Messiah, Anthony B, Governor, Romaine Virgo, TJ, Valiant.
Them boy don't got no body.
Grand Masters, Collision Band, Small X Band, New Vibes Band International, Mr. Bagdal, Akai You Sweet, Greedy, Guess the Band, Ricardo Drew, Patrice Roberts, Skinny Fabulous, Nyla Blackman, Status. Erica Edwards, 313 Family, Gramps Morgan, Nitra B, Ear Supply, Dexter Daps, and Burner Boy. It's the 25th edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from June 22nd to June 24th at Warner Park. An experience like no other. Tickets are now available at stkittsmusicfestival.com.
It's beautiful. He took one look at you and the angels started singing.
Another wonderful day.
What would you say about staying here for a few months or like a year, just so that we can be together again and just live and love and laugh and have fun and breathe?
Why are you hiding out on a little Caribbean island, singing in a beach bar?
When I came here, I was at peace, and I never left.
This is the beating heart of Nevis. This is what grounds me, what feeds my soul. It's where I found myself.
I hope your life here will be full of joy. Love this island, my son. She will give you more than you can imagine.
Online radio has never been this great. It's Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Tune into Voice of the Caribbean Radio for great Caribbean programs, news, entertainment, sports, and current affairs. Wake up each morning and be inspired with One Day at a Time with Kim Huey. Stay abreast with news across the Caribbean and internationally with the Caribbean News Hour, and be entertained with shows like Reggaeville, Caribbean Classics, and Jive Music Show. Visit our website, download our Android mobile app, or listen us on TuneIn Radio. There is so much more on Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond. Check website or app for program schedule.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
Sections of social media have been in a frenzy following an increased push by the state, particularly the Bank of Jamaica, to increase digital transaction services to the public. Some people have interpreted the initiative to be an attempt to make Jamaica completely cashless. But speaking at the AC Hotel in St. Andrew on Wednesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness rubbished those claims.
There is no attempt by the government to remove cash, meaning paper money, from the system.
Mr. Holness said he's actually worried that Jamaicans would interpret the information in that manner.
Just stop for one moment. Just be rational. Why would the government spend billions of dollars to change currency to a new, durable banknote that we don't have to be changing it ever so often, only to turn around and take it out of the system? Don't you see it is stupidness? But the number of people who have followed it gets me worried about what Jamaicans are consuming as information.
He further questioned the logic of the concerns raised.
Where is our reasoning? And why is it so simple for us to be attracted by rumors? As your Prime Minister, I have a duty to call it out when I see it.
And while Mr. Holness stressed that there are no plans to mandate digital currencies, he urged Jamaicans not to fear the technology, as it could be beneficial in conducting certain transactions. He said the conversation should be about how the government can strengthen the laws to protect the rights of people in the digital age.
It's very hypocritical, because the same people who are trying to prevent you from using technology are using technology. When you see them post, tell them, come off TikTok, come off Twitter, and go and talk in the town square.
The explanation came as the IDB hosted a forum on digital transformation on Wednesday to outline strategies for government services to become digital. TVJ News was advised that over the next few months, several public sector organizations will take more of their operations online, and the private sector will also follow suit.
I think there's a significant gap there. We need to find a way to communicate the objectives of going digital to our people.
Our four main rails that we started out with, and I think we have mentioned each of them right here. Rail number one was connectivity. We have to be connected for this to work.
Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
Soft hues of blushing pink and baby blue were the choice of colors at Thursday's auspicious launch of universal health coverage, maternal and child care services.
This is just the beginning of the health revolution in this country.
In a formal affair at Constitution Park, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belmar George made a case for women of childbearing age to have more children.
I think it is also the optimum time for those of you who are within the safe reproductive age that have not yet contributed at least 2 offspring to the solution population to do so now. There's really no excuse. Antenatal care is free, and the ultrasounds and the diagnostics are also free. So I think it is really the optimum time for everyone who's not contributed your 2, you know who you are. If you've not yet contributed your 2, we have a very contractive transition in our epi curve. It is a time for you to be thinking about it. The government has provided you with every opportunity now that you don't have to look at that cost. Thank you.
Dr. Belmar George views the addition of the maternal and child care services to UHC as opportune given the island's aging population.
This is extremely timely as our present population pyramid for St. Lucia is contractive. We notice reduced birth rate and longer life expectancy. So we must preserve the products of conception and the health of the reduced younger population that we note.
The CMO referenced a concerning trend in 2014 of poor maternal and newborn outcomes that warranted a clinical audit facilitated by the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO.
One of the important recommendations, I spoke of the audit, but I wanted to highlight one of the very important recommendations that was made by that perinatal audit in 2014 on a national level was the need for pregnant women to have universal access to laboratory and ultrasound services, which is being provided now. I feel confident that this new intervention would definitely strengthen our maternal and child health program, ensuring healthy newborns and mothers, but that we also ensure that we maintain the UN Sustainable Development Goals of maternal mortality of less than 70 per 100,000 live births and less than 12 per 1,000 live births for neonatal mortality.
For his part, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre echoed the CMO's sentiments, applauding Phase 1 of UHC for allowing expectant mothers to breathe a sigh of relief.
I've spoken to several mothers in my constituency who said to me they cannot afford the basic tests when they are pregnant so that to ensure that they are healthy and their baby is healthy. They cannot afford it. Now, if you can't afford it, you will not mind, you will not care with those who cannot afford it. But we care about those who cannot afford it. And this is why we are doing it here today, to ensure that those who cannot afford it, they get the opportunity to get the basics, the prenatal care that they need so they can have healthy babies.
Maternal health care services under UHC will be available at 17 wellness centers around the island at no cost to mothers.
Train services have resumed at the site of India's worst rail disaster in 20 years. Preliminary reports suggest a signalling system error caused the multi-train collision that killed 275 people on Friday. But authorities have launched a criminal investigation. In Balasore, in eastern India, Umi Kulsum Sharif met families looking for answers.
After searching hospitals and morgues, Mohammad Ashrafil is hoping to find his missing nephew at this makeshift camp in Balasore. 22-year-old Mohammad boarded the Howrah Express, one of the trains that collided on Friday.
I am running around in circles looking for information. The officials want me to accept a body with a disfigured face as my nephew. How can they confirm this? I have been calling all the helpline numbers. There's no help. Now they want me to go to another city to check the morgue. I don't have the money.
Other families have had similar experiences.
There were 6 of them on the train. We live in the same place. They were supposed to go to Chennai. We found 4 of them in hospital, but can't find the other 2.
The government is under pressure to provide answers. Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav says a signalling error caused the pileup.
It is about the point machine and electronic interlocking. The change in the electronic interlocking caused this accident, and whoever did it and whatever other reasons will be known after the investigation.
The army, police and railway workers have joined teams from the Odisha State Disaster Management Agency on the ground as the focus shifts from rescue mission to clean-up operation. India's railway network is extensive. More than 12 million people commute by train every day. To reduce travel times, a new Japanese-funded bullet train is scheduled to start running in 2026.
Well, let's go live now to Kulsum. She's in the regional capital, Bhubaneswar, and she's outside a hospital morgue. Kulsum, what's the situation there at the morgue, first of all?
Well, Laura, I'm at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Bhubaneswar. It's about 200 kilometers from Balasore, where the accident took place. Now, right after the accident, nearly about 200 bodies were brought here because this place has 2 morgues and the bodies were brought here. So this has a lot of activity. There are ambulances behind me and their families waiting for the bodies of their loved ones to be handed over to them. For those families, it's still a closure. There are many other families who are just inquiring, looking at gruesome pictures, trying to identify their loved ones. So many families still looking to find those missing people. There's a police camp here. Police is helping them. And this is the point, at this entrance where humans just become numbers, because officials from inside coming out and saying body number 36, body number 54, and the families have been given these numbers and they have to come and collect the bodies and take them away. It's just hard to speak to anybody here. We just saw a father from Bihar who lost 2 of his sons, and he's picked up the bodies and he's heading back home to his wife, who's alone at home waiting to see her sons alive, but he's bringing them dead.
It's an absolutely tragic situation. Tell us more about the direction that the investigation is taking, because it's now becoming a criminal inquiry.
Well, yes, the railway minister did say there is an interlocking problem. That's what he said yesterday. But he's also said he recommends a Central Bureau of Investigation investigating this entire accident. Well, the accident is huge because it didn't involve just one train derailing. It involved 2 packed passenger trains, a goods train. So essentially 3 trains coming together, a massive collision, and we're seeing the numbers of the dead since Friday. So there are answers. The government is under pressure, so they're looking for answers. But having said that, I was looking at a tweet from a railway official who has raised questions about the safety of the signaling system. So it's not like they have no questions that have been raised. To say India has a very busy railway network. We have about 30 million people take trains every day, traveling the length of breadth of the country, and we have thousands of trains. One crash like this raises questions about the safety and the functioning system of an overworked network.
OK, Ume Kulsum Sharif, thanks very much for bringing us all the latest there from Eastern India.
This is Soba University Hospital, one of the largest in Khartoum, now barely functioning because of the fighting between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces. Like many hospitals, it's run out of basic medical supplies.
We used to operate 2 dialysis units, one for adults and another for children, which we had to shut down because of a lack of supplies. The materials necessary to give dialysis to children aren't available anywhere in the country.
Operating rooms are empty. Staff say the last procedure was formed on the day the conflict began, the 15th of April. Employees are too scared or unable to come to work.
We call on local and international aid agencies and charity organizations to help Sudan, and especially Soba. The hospital hasn't been damaged by the conflict, but there are no medical supplies or staff.
The only section that's still functional is the adult dialysis unit. But the violence and the lack of money has kept many patients away.
The road to the hospital is not safe, never mind the costs involved. From transport to medical fees, I'm forced to spend less money on food for my children in order to pay for dialysis.
The Sudan Doctors Union says more than 60% of the hospitals in Khartoum have shut down since mid-April. A brief ceasefire enabled some medical assistance to be brought in, but the continuous fighting means they haven't been distributed to all the hospitals. Now that the ceasefire is officially over, people who need help are worried that even the few functioning hospitals may not be open for much longer. Hiba Morgan, Al Jazeera, Khartoum.
Security Forces FC got a rare win on Friday in the SKNFA Premier League when they defeated Jones Group Sandy Point 2-1 in their match played in Sandy Point. Everett Richard got the goal scoring off for Security Forces in the 30th minute before Zamai Green equalized in the 65th minute for Sandy Point. But 5 minutes later, Daniel Francis of Security Forces restored their lead in the 70th minute. Meanwhile, also on Friday, Fastcast Saddlers FC and St. Peter's FC ended in a 0-0 draw. After the match, Saddlers coach Samuel Phipps said gaining a point was a good result.
Firstly, I'd like to thank the Father God for affording us the opportunity to be here. And picking up 1 point is good. It's not the best, but nonetheless, we did not lose. So it was a fairly scrappy game, both teams' part, but we came out with a point.
Coach Austin Deco Huggins of St. Peter's bemoaned his team's missed chances in front of goal.
I think that we played well, but too much chances went a begging. We had many opportunities to score. Goal that I feel, chances that I feel should have been goals, but we missed them. Nevertheless, we've been able to get a point, so we move forward again, looking towards our next match.
SKNFA Premier League action returned to Nevis on Sunday with a match between Bath United and Garden Hotspurs at the Nevis Athletic Stadium. The match was drawn 1-1. Omarion Bartlett scored the first goal of the match for Bath in the 13th minute before Jamal Hodge of Spurs equalised in the 84th minute. This is the second match to play on Nevis for the 2023 Premier League season. Meanwhile, on St. Kitts at the Warner Park, league leaders Flow 4GKM Rockets dismissed MSCR Old Road United Jets 3-0. Devontae Carty struck twice for Keon in the 20th and 63rd minutes, while Mervyn Lewis scored the third goal for Keon in the 68th minute. So, with these results, we see Keon Rockets still at the top of the table with 39 points after 16 matches. Their closest competitor, St. Paul's United, are in second with 31 points and a game in hand. St. Peter's FC are in third place with 28 points. With that defeat to Old Road, they are in fourth with 27 points. Village Superstars are in 5th with 24 points. Also with 24 points in 6th place with a lower goal difference. Newtown United in 7th with 23 points. Bath United in 8th above the relegation playoff position with 19 points. Garden Hotspurs are in 9th place, and if the league ended today would have to play the 2nd place team in Division 1 to maintain their place in the Premier League. They have 16 points. And in the relegation zone, Saddlers United, Security Forces and Sandy Point FC with 12, 9 and 2 points respectively. Football action returns on Wednesday at 6 p.m. with the FA Cup semi-finals in Cairn, with St. Peter's FC playing Ramsville Superstars, and at 8:15 p.m. SL Horseston Falls United playing MSCR United Road Jets. All 4 teams competing for a spot in the 2023 FA Cup finals.